This is Mongolian Mindset, and today me and PC are going to be typing former President Joe Biden. You guys know we use Linda Berens Interaction Styles and Temperament combined with cognitive functions. Comment below what you think Joe Biden's type is. If you respond in the comments intelligently, we will respond to them. If you don't, we won't. Just straight up. We have all of these broken down on the channel, the cognitive functions, all of this. So even if you're blind, deaf, and dumb, if you watch those videos, you will learn. If you want more than that, you could join our Discord where you get more hands-on experience, especially with our Demigod Dojo. We have all of our PDFs, books, and stuff that we recommend. And you can get more hands-on experience with us. I highly recommend that. I think it's going to be the best MBTI group in the future. PC, anything you want to say about Joe Biden before we get into this, man?
Um, well, yeah, I guess he was the former United States president. You've only really seen the senile side to him the last, I don't know, decade, but I had seen prior interviews and he seemed like he was pretty switched on. But I don't necessarily agree with his politics, but like I could sit down and have an intellectual debate with him, whereas you probably couldn't have the last few years because it looks like he's got dementia maybe or something of that kind of at least if it isn't dementia, it's dementia adjacent or something. So yeah.
Well, one thing I'll say is people kind of make fun of Joe Biden and his dementia, but I will say this: you should pray in your fucking bed every fucking night that you live to make it to his fucking age to get dementia, and that's the fucking truth. Okay, a lot of motherfuckers ain't gonna make it to his age to even get this dementia. I also say most people won't achieve the stuff that this man has done. Non people, talk shit about the stuff that he's been in, but hey, like most people ain't gonna do that. Most people won't amount to shit. So I think a lot of things that people say about Joe Biden are kind of unfair, man. The man's close to 80 years old. What do you fucking expect? Obviously, he was puppeteered into the position, but at the end of the day, he did what he thought was the best thing for his group. And I would respect that from my perspective because I always think you always do what's in the best interest of your group and how to move your group forward, even if it turns out the way it turned out. That's my opinion of it. But share your comments below. Like I said, pray to God as you make it to his fucking age. But let's go see what the idiots at Personality Database has Joe Biden as. Okay, guys. They have President Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, or President, whatever you want to say. I guess they say President. It doesn't matter. ESFJ, with a good amount of votes here. Okay, that's
Yeah.
2.8K votes here, guys. What I will
And
say is
second,
that your politicians tend to be SJ or NFP. Know what it is. Sometimes you see the INTJ sneak in there here and there. You'll get like Donald Trump here and there, but most of the time, a lot of it's gonna be more of those logistical people because government really never really changes. It's pretty much the same shit. You can't really change much in government. I mean, Elon found that out the hard way, right? A lot of people can do the yapping, but when it comes to actual change, it don't work like that. He found out the hard way. He should have read the 48 Laws of fucking power. Um, and read I forget what law it is, but preach change, but don't change too fast. Because if you change too fast, they'll get rid of you. Because people really don't like change as much as they preach it. So preach change, but change slowly. Yeah, he would have learned that from the 48 Laws of Power. But let's go and
uh,
see what they have at
yeah.
the board here. So
Well,
ESFJ. Yeah, what's up,
I
PZ?
was going to say, on personality database, they have either ESFJ or ENFJ,
Mm-hmm.
which means that
FE
whether
down.
first place or second place, we should be looking for someone with TIFE. So if we're seeing TEFI, we can already exclude that. So we should be looking for that as we go through.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so for ESFJs, guys, they're informing, they're initiating, their process, journey focus slash movement. They're affiliative. they're systematic, they're concrete, they're TIFE, and they're SINE. So what you should be seeing is an abundance of FE from these people, right? Because they're heroic with it. And a lot of time when people use the
Mm,
hero function, they kind of use it like a shotgun, like boom, 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 always on, like boom, boom, boom. So we'll be looking for that high FE from him if he's a ESFJ. But like we say, logistical intelligence is very good for government.
mm. Well, yeah, exactly. Both personality database has them both as an FE DOM on both.
Yeah, yeah.
So we should be seeing very prominent FE
I mean,
either way. So
database is a fucking moron. They got Barack Obama, the most obvious ESTJ, ENTP. Like, bruh, bruh, bruh. If you got that going on, bruh, like, there's no hope for you, man. There's no hope for you.
Great state of Delaware, Senator Joe Biden. I just caught a glimpse of the two of us walking back to the area here, and I thought, wow, this would be a wonderful ticket, you and me.
I think I'd be happy to be your vice
Look
president.
at how great we look. Huh?
I'll tell you what.
No.
Maybe you could finance our campaign.
I'll take care. I'll do whatever I can. Hey, I got that on me. Now listen, but I would like to be the vice president, and I would be the guy that would offer to resign when stuff went ugly. Oh no, okay, fine, I'll quit, and then I'll leave.
What do you mean you're not anything like Cheney?
No. Now, you know what I didn't realize that when you were first elected, senator from Delaware, you were 29 years old.
That's right.
And you have to be 30 to actually take the office. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. What was it like? I mean, you're a kid at 29, for gosh sakes. What was that like walking into the great Senate chamber at 29 years old?
You know, I walked in when I was 21 and I got arrested. It was a Saturday. I was down visiting some friends at Georgetown University. And I came up on a Saturday morning because I was fascinated with the Senate. And they had a Saturday session. I walked up those days.
All right, so this is like an I firsthand
yeah,
experience from this guy. So I'm getting
but
SIN here. What's up?
yeah, I was going to say, but he even remembers the day, like what day of the week it is. Like,
That's crazy. I mean,
oh, yeah,
a lot of people making jokes about Joe Biden, man, and they ain't even SINE users. So just imagine when you fucking turn 80, man. I mean,
mm,
looking at the rates, I think Alzheimer's starts to drastically increase over the age of 65. Look that shit up,
mm.
bitches.
Georgetown University. And I came up on a Saturday morning because I was fascinated with the Senate. And they had a Saturday session. I walked up those days, no guards stopping you everywhere. And they just got out of session. I walked in the back. All of a sudden, I found myself in the chamber, and I was stunned. I walked up, sat down, the presiding officer's seat.
This is all SI. That's all SI.
Guy grabbed me by the shoulder, said, "You're under arrest." Literally 9 years later, as I walked onto the Senate floor through the same door, that same guy, cop, said to me, "Senator, you remember me?" And I said, "Geez, I don't." He said, "I arrested you 9 years ago."
Wow. How about
He
that?
said, "Welcome back."
Yeah, welcome back.
Welcome back.
What was it? I think any first-time senator has got to be intimidated somewhat, but to be a 29, 30-year-old senator, the intimidation, was it palpable? Did you feel it? What
And
was
that
it
man had damn near 50 years of government. That's crazy.
like?
Yeah, I did, but I got there kind of under lousy circumstances. I think I would have been genuinely intimidated. Instead, when I went down there, I almost had a chip on my shoulder, right after I got elected. I got elected November 7th, and December 18th that year, before I was sworn in, my wife and daughter were killed in an automobile accident. My two sons were pretty banged up, and I didn't have any plans on going down. I had talked to our governor to appoint someone to my spot, and Senator Mansfield, a wonderful guy, got me to go down and said, "Just give me 6 months." That was 34 years ago.
Wow.
And so I started off just in a bad mood. But once I got there and started to get involved and realized just where I was, there were two occasions when felt very intimidated in the beginning. One was I went to speak with, I was on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. That was a big deal for a young person. Young was anything under 60.
Uh-oh, that's some
Ooh,
TE.
sad outcome.
That's some TE there. That's some TE there.
I was going to say he's also talking about yeah, it's quite an achievement.
Hmm
One was I went to speak with, I was on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. That was a big
In its Foreign Relation Committee.
deal for a young person. Young was anything
Achievement.
under 65. Y'all think I'm kidding, I'm not. And so I went into this meeting that Henry Kissinger was a witness. It was called, he was briefing on his worldview.
Yeah.
And I was late to the meeting. I went to the wrong room and I came into the door.
SI. SI, man, just go
Yeah.
ahead and kill SI off the board. Let's go ahead and kill SI off the board. PC, I feel pretty great with that. SINE is eliminated, guys. Like that's like textbook SI. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like
He seems very SI over NE.
you can't get no better than that. Like you really can't. That's just textbook. So that eliminates ESTP, ENTJ, ENFJ. So ENFJ is gone. Yeah. Um, and yeah. So guys, we're left with ESTJ, ESFJ, ISTJ, ISFJ. We're also left with ENTP, INTP, ENFP, and INFP. And we can like use your brain sometimes when you type people, you know this guy's not an NTP here. All right. You should be able like, I'm not looking at those types. Like use your brain sometimes.
Door, this small, relatively small room, and the door handle slipped out of my hand and banged against these filing cabinets, and about 9 elderly guys had coronary arrest. And I literally found myself upon the back of Henry Kissinger and ended up sitting down in the only open seat, making me the second ranking member of the committee. And things went from bad to worse, and finally got my turn to ask a question. And Senator Mansfield said, "Any other questions?" I said, "Yes, sir." And I had worked up as my senatorial voice. I was going to ask this tough question. I said, "Dr. Kissinger," and Kissinger ignored me completely, looked at the leader and said, "Mr. Leader," he said, "I was under the impression no staff was allowed in these meetings." Things went from bad to worse. I said, and then the Assistant Secretary of State handed him a piece of paper. It said Biden, Delaware. He said, "Oh, Senator Biden, I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
And I said, "Secretary Dulles, it's not a problem.
There you
We're
go.
getting on
Sure.
very well." And things went all downhill from there. You know what I mean?
Now, you mentioned in passing, and I certainly know that that's not what it represents in your life, but how were you able to keep going after your family is devastated that way? Was it just a matter of kind of sleepwalking, one foot in front of another, just watching the days go by?
Sort of. My dad, God love him, had an expression his whole life. He'd say, you'd have a bad day and he'd say, "Get up." You get knocked down on a football field, get up. Anything that happened, the refrain was, "Get up." And it was sort of getting up. It reminded me of when I played football in high school and a little bit in college. You had to do these wind sprints, and the only way I could do 20 wind sprints, say one more. And I consciously, at the time, and I'm sure a lot of people out here have gone through things similar or worse than I did. And what you do is you just get up and go through that day. But I had a real incentive. I had 2 young boys to raise, and I went home every night. I still do. And everybody thought, "God, isn't that nice? He's going home. He's being responsible father." Hell, I needed to go home for me with them. So that was just get up. You just do it.
How old were your boys when they lost their mother?
They were 4 and 5, not quite 4, not quite 5.
Lord.
But look, I was really lucky. I have a sister who's incredible. We have an expression in my family: if you have to ask, it's too late. And my sister, literally, she and her husband gave up their apartment. When I got home from the hospital, I wasn't in the accident, but when I got home from the hospital, she had already moved into the house. And 5 years later, got lucky, got married, and came home, and she had moved out. I mean, it was pretty nice of her, wasn't it?
Let's talk about this is your second run for the White
I
House.
will admit, I didn't think Joe Biden was that charismatic. I really, I think I slept on Joe Biden. I think he's actually a pretty charismatic guy.
Dude, when he's younger, he was very charismatic.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, but
I'm
yeah,
talking before the white hair. He was very slick talker.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, I couldn't even believe it until I went back and looked at some of his much earlier interviews.
yeah. That's just like
Yeah.
a wake up call for everybody. One day you motherfuckers will be old. Just remember that
Mm.
it's coming.
Is that correct?
My first was auspicious.
The first one was I remember in the 60s, 80s, in the 60s, it was derailed. Well, maybe it wasn't derailed, but I remember this quoting a passage from the Gettysburg Address, and there was no attribution to Lincoln. Was that the episode?
Well, that was the essence. I quoted a fellow named Neil Kinnock, who was a Labor Party leader in Great Britain.
Quoted TE. Reference somebody else. Good job.
Running for prime minister, and I quoted him all the time. But this time I didn't quote him. I just screwed up.
I quote him all the time. TE.
I made a mistake, and one of the other campaigns that said gave me a sharp elbow, and then I became Biden the plagiarizer, Biden the guy who didn't. And look, I mean, I wasn't. I don't think
you knew at the time that there was an oversight.
Yeah. No, it was flat mistake on my part,
Yeah.
and you know, one of the things is it actually was probably a good thing that happened to me. I know that sounds strange. I wish it didn't happen the way it did. But shortly after I got out, I ended up with 2 cranial aneurysms and given a relatively not a great chance of living. You've been through some life-threatening operations, and you know, it gives
Talking
you
about the first part of the show?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it's not as bad as me. I flew up on U.S. Air,
But anyway, so it had nothing to do with Lincoln and nothing to do with the Gettysburg Address.
No, but it was the same principle, though.
Yeah.
Same principle, man. I tell you, would have been harder that way.
So, but now, how do you like your chances now for the White
Well,
House?
I think my chances are good. I have no money. I have no obligations. I have no support. No, I think they're really good. Look, I think as long as the single central issue.
That any child fucking wit there, you know. It's the any child wit. They can actually get pretty good with this.
No support. No, I think they're really good. Look, I think as long as the single central issue.
But anyway, so it had nothing to do with Lincoln and nothing to do with the Gettysburg Address.
No, but it was the same principle, though.
Yeah.
Same principle, man. I tell you, would have been harder that way.
So, but now, how do you like your chances now for the White House?
Well, I think my chances are good. I have no money. I have no obligations. I have no support. No, I think they're really good. Look, I think as long as the single central issue facing the country is national security, the war in Iraq, terrorism, as long as that's the case, and as long as I can raise, which I think I can, $20 to $25 million, not $100 million like others are raising, I'm in the game. I think I am. We all do, I guess. I think I'm the most qualified person at this moment in our history. And
why does a
I'm
person
the most qualified person? TE.
even want this job now? Because whoever gets it really is inheriting quite a mess.
You know, Dave, if you ever wanted to be president, this is the time to be president, because you literally have a chance that only occurs about every 60, 70 years in American history. You got a chance to literally change the direction of the world. And if we keep going the direction we're going, we're in real trouble. And the rest of the world, I know most of these other world leaders, not because I'm important, I've just been hanging around a long time. I've gone to meetings with them when they were young parliamentarians and now running their countries. And they're desperately looking for somebody who can reestablish America's place in the world. And I think it's available. I think the American public is ready to do great things. They're not afraid of it.
Reestablish. That's some TE, SI.
Yeah, I could even say there was some N's there a second ago where he's talking about what other people want.
Yeah. But that was definitely TESI, talking about stability there, bringing the America back to stability. TESI. Ooh, back in stability.
Any of these challenges.
And how's your health now? Everything good? Good. Thank you very much.
All right, so we're gonna look at another one here. It's looking like Joe Biden's ESTJ. These guys dominate when it comes to politics.
Politics.
Yeah.
The CEO of a company, he treats them all the same exact way. That's
Getting
how I
shit
was
low.
raised. That's what connected me with John.
Yeah, that volume's a bit low, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, PC. The fuck did you find? Some boom.
Oh, it was fun. It was always fun. I mean, here, I was by far and away the youngest member of the Foreign Relations Committee, with one exception. The next one was, I think, 63 years old. I was 32 years old or 33. And John and I just hit it off. And John became very good friends with my wife, Jill, because in those days, senators were encouraged to have their spouses travel to interact with one another and also interact when we were in the country we were visiting. And so John and Jill became really good friends. And
Talking about the affiliative, right?
and they both have the same sense of humor. They both are the kind of folks who would put a bucket of water on the door in your college dorm and watch it fall on your head, kind of thing. You know, they both have that sense of humor, and they just became great friends. And we traveled as a kind of a threesome, and it was just great fun. Like hell, he carried my bags, but no. Technically, what happens is that whoever the liaison is responsible for all the logistics. So all the baggage or material that's on the plane going to whatever event is, that person's responsible. But I don't remember, although I may have carried a couple of John's bags, helping him get the rest of the stuff out. But we've just been great friends. What John and I would talk about when we travel is I learned a lot from John about the military, for real.
For real.
John and I would talk substance about whether I was going to meet Karen Lease or I was going to China, with Deng Xiaoping, wherever it was. John and I would talk about the substance of it. And when John showed an interest in maybe running, I strongly encouraged John to run. I had no doubt in my mind that John McCain would be running for president someday. I don't think he thought it that way, but I had no doubt in my mind. So when he went to the Congress, he stood out in the House. He was in the House first, as you know. And when he came to the Senate, he was already a well-known commodity. He was already respected. A guy like me coming to the Senate at age 30, I didn't know anybody. I'm the first senator I ever knew. But John knew a lot of people, and John was embraced, and John was embraced by and embraced both sides of the aisle. I mean, I don't think John missed a beat coming over to the Senate. I don't think there wasn't anything like, well, he's junior, or nobody ever, that I can recall, thought in those terms with John.
Wasn't he a war veteran or something like that?
John McCain, yeah, I think he ran for president for the Republicans.
Yeah, he got beat by Obama, but a lot of people.
Yeah, he was a POW or some shit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you didn't really want to run against Obama. Not even gonna bullshit. Like, yeah, you really did not want to run against him. You were probably most likely gonna fucking lose. Just how it is, man. Some elections you just gotta dodge.
I was trying to explain John, to someone after the medal ceremony up in Philadelphia. And I said, if you were going to draw a picture of what constituted a patriot, John is a patriot. John is that sounds corny, but everything with John is about the country. Everything with John. And John understands that politics is all personal. You have to know the person. You have to, and even when you disagree with someone vehemently, if you know they have a son or daughter who has a drug problem, or their wife has breast cancer, or they have financial troubles, or they had difficulty in school, it's hard when you get to know them. It's hard to dislike them. And so instead of today, it's all about attacking motive. The reason you're this is you're not a good Christian. The reason you're that, you're in the pocket of. That's not John. It's all about differences of view and opinion. And so when John came over, there were a lot of things we worked on together. I was trying to think of the things, knowing this interview was coming up, where we disagreed. We disagreed on some foreign policy things. We disagreed on Afghanistan, and mostly of late, the last 10 years. But, I strongly supported John's effort for financing of elections. Hell, I introduced a proposal for public financing of elections. John strongly supported my efforts on violence against women and dealing with abuse. There were so many things we worked on together. So John is a conservative, but, John's a traditional Republican, the Republican Party that came up from Eisenhower. That's John. And there's nothing narrow about John. John is not one of these guys that is unwilling to help people in need. John supports I mean, look what John and I worked together on immigration. John worked on healthcare. I
All
mean,
right, I'm over
so
this shit.
John is not an ideologue. John
All right, I'm done here, man. ESTJ. I'm sick of hearing John. Okay, bro. I get it. So ESTJ, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden's ESTJ. Personal database has ESFJ. The guy's direct, right? The guy's direct. He's TEFI, he's a filler, he's systematic, he's concrete. Like we said, that personality type really does really well in politics. The STJs, especially the ESTJ, the leader of the STJs. Um, but I think a lot of people. The saddest part about this is that people remember your last days and not the like the body of your whole life, right? So people will remember Joe Biden as that guy who was falling asleep, or the guy who was falling, or the guy who had toilet paper on his shoe, or or the puppet, but they missed the entire body of someone's life. And that's kind of the sad part of reality. Um, that's why sometimes it's better to go away when you're in your prime, because at least nobody can't say you were this shitty person. It's kind of like if you look at a basketball player, it's better for them to retire like shortly after their prime so that they don't miss a step, and then they everybody's like dogging on them and all this other stuff. It's a sad sight. It's kind of like if you seen Michael, well, you did kind of see Michael Jordan kind of go through that. But if you saw LeBron James and he was averaging like 12 points a game, right? He's used to averaging about 25, 26. It's sad to see him go through the league, or like how Shaq did, this very dominant person who can't even play for like 6, 7 minutes in a game anymore. So, because people remember, the shitty part more than a lot of the good shit you did. It's just sad. Subtype, what are we thinking here?
I'm thinking normalizing or maybe harmonizing. I don't really see creative or dominant.
Um,
And if anything, I'd probably go towards probably normalizing, especially from the earlier interviews
yeah.
I've seen. That dude's really quick.
Yeah.
Like he used to be extremely fucking smart.
hmm
Um, yeah.
Yeah, PC, go ahead and check out the other things. Yeah, guys, I think we're gonna
Oh
go
yeah.
with normalizing slash harmonizing. I think I feel pretty good with that. There's some people who type, I mean, because obviously people think he's FE user, so I guess you got to throw harmonizing in there. I
Mm.
think this guy is definitely a compliant type. So 1, 2, 6. I would say he's definitely not a two. So he's either one or fucking six.
I'd probably say one.
One, one, one W9.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he tries to keep the peace quite a bit. He was known for that. What are we going? SO? Got to be SO.
Yeah.
Slash SP. Yeah. Um, and I would say the guy's a above average ESTJ. Um,
Yeah. I'd even go sub prodigy, man. Um,
I mean,
based on the earlier stuff that I've seen.
yeah, I mean, above average going that realm. Um, but yeah, I mean. Everybody knows what I think about ESTJs. I think if you were to rank all personality types and you were to be actually fucking serious and to be actually honest with like the ability to be successful and versus all the other ones, and you weighed all of them in, I think the ESTJ would easily win that. Hands down. I think they would easily win it. I think when people got this intuitive bias, where they think, oh, just because you're an ENTJ, you're gonna do X, Y, and Z, or just because you're INTJ, there's gonna be you're gonna do X, Y, Z. But there's a lot of ENTJs and INTJs that completely fail, while the ESTJ kind of always stays pretty more on average. You know, they
Yeah,
do
well,
pretty
I
good on
mean,
average.
I think it's probably not that controversial to say that the systems of government that are created are pretty much set up by them for them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like if you could pick one out of the basket, you'd probably want to be that. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean,
if there is a type privilege, it would be STJ.
I think ESTJ definitely got the highest
Yeah.
type privilege. I mean, if I was to hypothetically given the situation, I always had this argument, and I said if God was to give me all the 16 personality types, and He was to line up the fucking stats like a video game, I would be like, I'm taking the ESTJ. All right, suit me up. I'm going into the world ESTJ straight up. Like if you were to line up the actual stats and you knew nothing, and you were like, okay, this type has this stats, and then this type has this stats, this stats, this stats, this stats, and you looked at them, yeah, you choose ESTJ. You would choose ESTJ. Um, but it's kind of hard for people to say that because everybody has their own type biases. But yeah, I'm gonna be objective here with that. I'm gonna be objective. Um, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I think overall they don't have much downside. I mean, pretty good family, make pretty good money, pretty fucking smart, can do well in
Oh,
sports.
I mean,
Um,
every type's got its pros and cons, but yeah, it's a lot of things are definitely slanted in their favor. At least on a societal um bent. Yeah.
yeah, yes, it is what it is. No, we're gonna get people in the comments fucking crying. Oh, I can't believe Marshall said that. Oh man, he loves ESTJs. I'm like, no, no, no. On average, I think they're probably the best. If we were to rank them tier list, they're probably S type, S class, definitely. Um, But yeah, guys, comment below what you think about this. This is a fun one. We got somebody different than a INTJ, ENTP, or ISFP. Seems like we get a lot of those three types. So we have to dig in different avenues to get different types because we do want to be able to compare and contrast for our community. And if you like this video, please subscribe, join our Discord. I think in the future it's going to be one of the biggest Discords. If you want to be typed by us, you do have to get in Discord and get to level 25 before I change that. So you better ASAP get up in that motherfucker. ASAP. Any closing words, PC?
No, man.
All right. Well,
Sleepy Joe made me sleepy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't wait to do fucking OJ Simpson. That's gonna be a fun one. Oh my God, it's gonna be fun. Maybe we should react to the court case, or maybe we should just react to the documentary. I'm looking fun. I'm having fun with that one. I had fun watching it.
Actually, what are the people that are listening this far into the actual video? What do they think we should do?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you listen this far in the interview, drop some people and tell me something I said so that I can confirm that you watched this far. And I'll put them on my board
Yeah,
because
man.
me and PC don't have any. If not, you motherfuckers gonna get OJ Simpson and everybody in that fucking trial, motherfuckers. You'll be bored out of your fucking mind. But yeah,
Well,
this is
yeah, we
Mongolian
we we we
mindset.
kind of we kind of had to, you know, divvy it up, man. Otherwise, it'd be all abstract people fucking every day. Either that or dead rappers. So,
Hey man, when you live life on the edge, you make a big impact, man. That's the thing about
yeah, that's true.
living life on the edge, man. You live life on the edge, you make a big impact, but you out of here quick. It's kind of like you put all of your life in a short period of time, As in some people like put it out throughout their whole lives and do absolutely nothing anyway.
Yeah, burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, they burn the fuck out of it. It's like God's like, yeah, you're out of here, buddy. You only got really 10 more days. Yeah. But it's
Speed running
interesting.
deaths.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, guys, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.